All right, and good day, everyone, and welcome to today's session of Truly Foundation and A Course in Miracles. And again, I will be your host, your temporary host, your temporary guide and coach. Um, my name is Oliver, and I only say temporary because our entire goal here at Truly Foundation, the whole purpose for teaching advanced spirituality, what the Course in Miracles project that we're doing and the resource that we're using, which is the ideas that are shared in the course, the workbook lessons that are in the course, the theoretical ideas that are in the course that sometimes seems startling, unbelievable, so advanced to what we have been conditioned, especially in most of our religious communities. All of this has a purpose. All of this has a specific objective. Your entire life has a deep meaning, and it's purposeful, a good purpose. And I see it can be found in I think it's best said here. I'm going to use this biblical scripture in Romans 12 verse 2. I think it says it as clear as it can be said of the purpose for all of this, the purpose for our life. And Romans 12:2 says it this way. It says, and be not conformed. Be not conformed to this world. Remember, we say the world is nothing more than a false idea about our true identity. It's a false idea about who we are. That's what the world is. It's an idea. We are not an idea of the world, but we are a God idea. Humanity is a God idea. And so here it says, be not conformed to the idea of this world in terms of our identification, who we are, what our purpose, what our function is. We don't take it from a false belief or a false representation of our true identity. You never ask a thing what it's for, what its purpose is. No, you have to go back to the mind of the maker of the thing or the creator of the thing to find out what the creator intended when it created what it did. You never asked a thing. And so we are not to be conformed to a falsity about who we are. We're not to be conned out of our reality. We're not to be deceived, self-deceived out of the truth of who we are. Be not conformed. We have a choice in the matter. We have a choice in the matter. In fact, we have the final choice in the matter about our identity. It's always been about our identity. It's about who we are. Because who we see ourselves to be, who we accept ourselves to be, will determine what we teach, what we extend, what we make, what we create. And when you look at the conditions on a broader scale in the world is just a reflection of what and who we have accepted as our identity. And then we seek to extend that or to act it out. And so everything that you see in the world that is unloving, everything that you see in the world that are acts of terror, acts of fear, acts of threats, anywhere you see inequality, anywhere you see suppression, anywhere you see the promotion of superiority and differences, anywhere you see it in the world, it is a reflection of a false identification on the part of those that are promoting the ideas of inequality. And it comes in many forms: racism, nationalism, so many different forms that it's easy to see. Very easy to see, especially when you're looking through the eyes of love. Unloving acts, unloving ideas are easily identified. And so it's always been about identity. This whole dramatic experience has been about your identity. As the story has been told, as it is written in the creation story, and it's just a story, a metaphoric story, that God visited what he created in the cool of the day. And God was just checking in with what he created. Because he knew what he created, and he knew why he created, and he knew what for what purpose he created it. And God asked his creation, where are you? In other words, the question, where are you? In other words, from what point of view are you thinking? From what point of view are you perceiving? What is your mindset? Where are you? Adam, where are you? He wasn't talking about a physical location. No, God was talking about, have you entertained any other ideas about who you are since we last chatted? And when God asked his creation, where are you? Adam said, what did Adam say? It said, Adam said he was afraid and he hid himself. Well, God knew that he is not the author of fear. He knew that in creation, fear was not a part of creation, because God is love and God is light. And in God, there is no darkness. There is no opposite. There is no hatred. There is no superiority. There is no inferiority. There's only equality. There is no suppression. There is no specialness. There is no sacrifice. There are no opposites. God is love, and that's it. There is no darkness. There is no fear. There's no lack. There's no scarcity. So love knew immediately that Adam and Eve has fallen into a trance, fallen into a dream, that had taken on an idea that was contrary to reality. And now was dreaming of being separate from their creator. It can only happen in dreams, because in reality, Adam and Eve can't change what God created. Neither can you or me or anyone. And that's just a story, to just trying to teach us something here. We get so caught up in the story itself. Jesus said that's why he taught in parables, because those that refuse to open their ears up to hear and their eyes to see, he said, to you all, it's just a story. It's just an allegory. He said, but to them that has an ear to hear and eyes to see, he said, it is the wisdom of God. It has within the story a revelation of reality. So it's always been about identity. Always. It has always been about your identity. Who am I? That's why that question continues to bubble up within your mind, within your soul. And we seek to try to find answers to that. It will never go away. Why? Because God placed eternity where? Inside of us. And eternity is calling us to have a reunion. Eternity is calling us to have fellowship. Eternity wants us to become self-aware of our reality. That will never stop. We can pour into ourselves whatever we want to pour. We can smoke into ourselves whatever we want to smoke. We can drink into ourselves whatever we want to drink. We can have all the events and activities, all the entertainment that this world can offer. We can drown ourselves in life activities to the max. And at the end of the day, when you get quiet, eternity speaks from within and asks you this question: who do you say that you are? Some of you have experienced that in your most inebriated state. I know it happened to me before. Even when you're inebriated, even when you're high as a kite, that cannot cover up eternity. When you get still and quiet enough, that voice that speaks for God, which is your true self, your I am self, will say, who do you say that you are? You cannot put it out. It's not like a fire that can be put out. It's an eternal fire that is in all of us. Because the self wants to fellowship with itself. It's always been about the knowing of the self. It's not been about the knowing of this world, about what the world would define us as, what the world would offer us, what the world would conform us to in terms of our thinking. But here it says, be not conformed to this world. Don't be conformed to the identification that this false identification that this world, this idea wants to impress upon you. And then it says, on the contrary. That's what but means, on the contrary. It says, be ye transformed. Be ye transformed. You've heard this word transform or transformation. It's kind of like a common word now, even to the point that it's almost lost its real meaning or value or essence, because we use it so flippantly now. But to be transformed, it says, be transformed. Transformation is the process that we all must go through, that we all must experience. Why? Because all of us at one point collectively embraced the false idea. So it put all of us in the same boat. We all thought we were something that we're not. There would be no need for transformation if we had embraced the reality that we remain as God created us. There would be no need for transformation. But transformation only comes as a result, or is needed as a result of this tiny mad idea of separation, of false identification. As a result of that, the idea or the process of transformation has to occur in all of us. We're all in a state of transformation. Some of us is just in different stages of it. The caterpillar is transformed to the butterfly, but we see certain different stages of it. And all of us in a different stage of our evolving, of our transforming from a falsity to a reality. All of us go through that process. You can't be here and not go through the process. The mere fact that you are here, or think that you are here as a body, self, is because we all made that decision collectively to fall asleep and to go on a far journey, to go prodigal, to leave home in our minds, to see if there was something else outside of heaven, if there was something else outside of our Creator in creation. Is there was something else outside of God? Has God held something back from me? That's the question that this thought of separation will use to self-deceive you, to think that you are something else. And so we're all a product. If you're here, if you've been here manifested in the body, you're a product of the effect of the tiny mad idea of separation that cannot and can never occur. It only can occur in dreams. And so this life that we're experiencing here on this level is somewhat like a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. There's some truth to that, in the sense that you cannot be here experiencing this level of life without having some belief in a false self, in an individuated self, in a self that's separated from God and everyone else. And so we say, let me go and play in this drama called separation. And you made a decision to come and to experience it. And that's okay. But now that you're here, the remembrance of God, you discover that the remembrance of God came into this world with you. It came into the world with you as a reminder of your true identity, and that you cannot change who or what God created. You can play with the idea of making something else, but it's only temporary. It's only temporary. And so transformation is required by all of us, and all of us are in the process of transformation. It says, be not conformed, but be transformed. Transformation has to do with what? A shift. It has to do with a shift. It has to do with a state of being, a state of mind. Be ye transformed. And okay, this is all about our mind. This is all about the way we think. So the transformation is moving from having any credence and any allegiance to a false self to accepting what is, accepting your true identity. That's what the transformation is all about. part one of our 365 lessons. We said that this course is in two parts. Part one was like the first 220 lessons. Part two is from 220 all the way to the end of the book. The first part of the book was about the release. It was about us releasing what we thought we were. Part two is about embracing and accepting that which is our true identity, the real you, who loves you. Let me put that up there to remind you of that. I like to run this ticker because it's a reminder for all of us that there is a reality that we all share. We call it here on Truly Foundation, the real you that loves you. And that real you that we're talking about, that real you is love, or that real you is God. And not only that it is love, is that you are love and love only. And the love that you are and the love that you share with God and with all of us, that love is always shining within your true nature, within your essence. And it is always looking for a way to extend itself even in the earth. Everywhere, because the love is everywhere. It is what sustains us. It is what our consciousness is sustained by. It is what our awareness is fueled by love. And so here, the writer in Romans 12:2 says, we need to all be transformed from that false identity, from that which is unreal, that created all of the unloving acts that you see and experience and feel and think. All that you think, all that you feel, all that you sense, all that you see, all that you hear, that is so unloving, so divisive, in many cases, so evil. It all gets its energy from a belief in a false self, and a belief that created the whole system we call the ego thought system, where it has just showed up in every form imaginable. It has shown up through every act imaginable. And here in 2022, we are seeing things like you hear them say, it is unprecedented to the extent in which the ego thought system is being put on display here in 2022. So transformation must happen. And it's not the same for everyone. It's not the same for everyone. But it is what everyone needs to wake up. In other words, the content of your life, the experience of your life, the things that seem good or seem not so good, every event in your life is being orchestrated based on your decisions. But the final goal is you're going to wake up. God promised that. And so whatever it takes, based on your decision. Whatever it takes for you to wake up to your true self, be it pain, suffering, be it whatever form it takes. The universe knows what it takes. It's going to take for you as an individual to finally come to yourself where you say, there must be a better way. And I am going back home to reunite with my what? With my father. Oh, it's going to happen to all of us. It might take 100 lifetimes, but it's going to happen. It's just that some of us have decided that this is it. In this lifetime, this is it. I am going to wake up fully. I'm going to complete all my forgiveness lessons. What does it mean to complete all your forgiveness lessons? It means that you come to a place where you realize that there's God and there's nothing else. That there's love and that there's nothing else but love. And so all of the things, all of the content of my life, all of the relationships, all of the things that happen in the world, everything I had an opinion about, that I let it go. Every grievance I ever held against someone, even myself or even against God, I let it go. Every idea that I embraced that was not an idea of love, I let it go. And so when we let go of who we thought we were, which is the biggest let go, when we let go of how we gave the world responsibility for our experience, how we miscalculated the world, how we was demanding the world to do certain things for us, we let all of that go. That's completing your forgiveness lesson. When you realize that it was all a dream, it was all a temporary experience, that it wasn't real. No real threat, no real attack, no real reason to be fearful. And you realize that you are and you remain as God created you, and that you have never left home, that you've always been in the heart of God. When that happens, you've done all your forgiveness lesson. Then all pain and suffering, when you release that, you release all pain and suffering. You release all misunderstanding. You release everything that is not love. And you stand in the purity for which you were created. It's going to happen to every one of us. Every man and a woman in their own time. You determine that. You determine when you decide to let it all go. It's almost like when you have to lay the body down here. You know, when a body expires, what happens? The remains of the body remains here and goes instantly into a state of deterioration. We try to preserve it by, they call it embalming. We try to preserve that body for what? I don't know. That's just, that's just what we do. And the body is not even real. So what's needed is to preserve it. But one thing you have noticed, that all that body was attached to, all that body possessed, all that body said was mine, guess what? There's no more mine. There's no more possession. You've never seen people's possession go with them in that next expression. No, it stays here. Why? All temporary things remain here and go into deterioration. but who you really are, even when you lay the body down. The I am you that we talked about on yesterday, the awareness and the consciousness that you are, the I am that, not the body, but I am that what? That which God created. What did God create? God created himself. But that's what I am. That I am, that is what I am. I am that, what I am. What God is what I am. Jesus said it. John said it. John said it this way. He said, as God is, so are we in this world. Let me finish this verse. It says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. Transformation happens one way. Only one way. It don't happen by you changing your clothes, changing your location, changing your bank account, changing your cell phone number, changing your Cash App name, changing your YouTube name. It doesn't happen by changing your glasses or changing your husband or your wife or your children. It doesn't happen that way. Transformation happens one way. And that is by what? Changing your mind. It's called renewing the mind. And the renewing of the mind goes hand in hand with the transformation, where we're moving from a falsehood to that which is reality, where we realize that we remain as God created us, where we realize that we are holy and without blame before God in love, when we realize our true identity, the real you that is love. That's transformation. It's a shift. It's but a shift. It's but a recognition of our true identity. Remember, it's always been about your identification and not about the body self that was born and that dies. It's not about that identification. That's not who you are. That's what mommy and daddy provided us. Something temporary to express our I am self through in this dimension. Without the body, you cannot express in this dimension. It's required. And so our parents provided that. But what our parents provided us was temporary. But what God provided us in creation is eternal. And transformation is all about putting your credence, putting your devotion into the eternal and not into the temporary. That's all it is. It's simply that. Being transformed and renewing from the temporal to the permanent, to the eternal, to the infinite. Your infinite self, your divine self. It's about experiencing your divinity, your infinite, your impersonal and self-aware self now. This is not something we do in the future. There is no future. There's only now. And it's about experiencing yourself, your true self, the real you right now. And stop being conformed to a world that is false. It cannot give you eternal identity. It cannot fulfill your desires, your aspiration. You are the cause. You are not the effect. This world is the effect of a causation of our thinking. And we have put the cart before the horse. And so this whole process of transformation is putting the horse back in its rightful place, putting the mind back in its rightful original state of awareness and consciousness. So transformation happens only one way, and that is through the mind. But how much do we focus on the renewing of our mind? We spend more time trying to renew our bodies than renewing the mind. Until you wake up. When you wake up, you realize it's all about my mind, my state of mind, my state of being. Adam, where are you? Hey, I'm here, oh God. Standing in the creation, the changeless, unalterable creation that you made me. I'm standing in love. I'm standing in light. I'm standing in happiness and joy and peace. I am that, Father. I am. I am that I am. That was what God, of what love was, will always respond. When when you're walking in your true identity, your response will always be, I am that. I am, or I am the Christ, or I am God's creation. I have a friend that says, I am the Son of the Most High, or the Son of God. All these are reference to the one thing, our true identity. It's not a reference to gender or race or nationality. No, it is an acknowledgement. Like Jesus said, I and the Father in me. There's no place where the Father end and I begin. There's no place where I end and the Father begin. We are one. And so it says, one way that transformation takes place is through the renewing of the mind. And the mind cannot be renewed with the thinking that it always has. The mind can't be renewed with its past experiences. The mind can't be renewed by the ego thought system. The mind can only be renewed by every truth of God, by every thought of God. That's the only way the mind can be renewed. And every truth of God and every thought of God is within you. It is within you. And to help us to ignite, to help us to engage, to help us to activate that truth, we have been given certain tools, certain downloads in different forms to help us. The Course in Miracles is just one of those, just one of thousands, okay? But it's not about the Course. It's about the content. It's about the spirit that is communicating to us the reality of who we are. And there's a reason for the transformation and the renewing. It says this is the reason why. That we may prove. In reality, you have something to prove. Not only to yourself, but to those that are studying your life. He said that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect. So your life is to prove the good, the acceptable, and the perfect. Yes, your life, my life, our lives. That's our purpose. Now that we find ourselves here, God said, okay, your life is going to prove that which is good, acceptable, and perfect. Because that's what you are. You are the good, you are the acceptable, and you are the perfect. You know how to say God is good. You are good. See? So you got to prove that God is good. Your life got to prove that you are acceptable. You're not a reject. You're acceptable as God created you. And you remain that way. That you are acceptable in the beloved of God. You have always been acceptable. No experience in this world has ever changed your acceptability. Paul said it this way: there is absolutely nothing in this world that can separate you. There's nothing in this world that can condemn you. There's nothing in this world that can lay a charge against you, to cause you to be unacceptable, that can cause you to be separated from the love of God. Absolutely, positively nothing. And you need to know that. You are perfect, you are good, and you are acceptable. God promised that. That's why when he could swear by no greater, he couldn't find anything on earth to swear by. He swore by himself that you are good and acceptable and perfect. We're talking about your identity here. We're not talking about your choices. We're talking about your identification, because when you come to accept your true identity, your choices will change. Your decisions will change. The way you show up in the world will change completely. So we never succeed by trying to change someone's try to change someone's effects. It's too late then. No, we go to the source and renew the mind. We go to the source and be transformed so that our true identification becomes the foundation for every decision and every act. We got to the source of the problem. You know how we fix people up, dress them up, You've done it. You've seen it. But people are, we put lipstick on a pig. He's still a pig. We dress up someone that's, making crazy decisions. And they just make crazy decisions dressed up. But when you get to the source of the error, when you get to the source of the mistake, and the mistake is we chose wrongly, we thought wrongly, we embraced an idea of falsehood about who we are. And when that is renewed, when that is transformed, we don't have to worry about people's decisions or their action. They're going to be loving. Why? Because they have embraced their true nature, which is love. True change happens at the level of identification. So that we may prove that which is good and acceptable and perfect. You are perfect. Your DNA is perfect. It needs no modification. Who you really are as the I am of God is perfect. And it needs no adjustments, no modification. Who you are in your true identification is perfect. You are the Christ. You are the creation of God. You are the I am of God. And it's perfect because that's what God is also. That I am, that perfection is no different than God than it is with you. That we may prove what is that good, acceptable, and perfect, perfect will of God. What is the perfect will of God? What is the perfect will of God? That you may come to know yourself, the real you. What is the perfect will of God? That you may know yourself as God. Jesus said it through Paul over in Philippians 2:5. Let this mind Let this renewed mind, let this transformed mind be in you that was also in me. Jesus said, this is how you do it. This is how you do it by transformation through the renewing of the mind. He said, let this mind be in you that was also in me. That being in the form, that being in form, and we are in form. The form is the body. He said that being in form. He said, don't you ever think from a place of inferiority. Don't you ever think from a place of inequality. Don't you ever think that you are any different than what God created. He said, but so think not robbery. Don't think you've taken anything from God. Don't think you've taken any glory up from God. Don't think you've taken, you know how to say, God gets all the glory? Well, that's not really true. You get it too. When you accept the perfection and the goodness that God created, that you are. That is, in fact, Paul said in Ephesians that we are to the praise of his glory. Come on now, y'all. Y'all biblical scholars, it's right there. He said we're to the praise of his glory. Who trust in our true identity. He said, it says, who first trusted in Christ. What he's saying is, who trusts in anyone who trusts in their true identity. He said, you will experience the praise of his glory. What are you going to do with that? Jesus said, even to the religious people of his times, he said, have you not read that ye are gods? Haven't you not read that you are of the God kind? Have you not read that you have been created in his splendor, in his glory, in his honor? Have you not read that ye are gods? That ye are divinity? Have you not read? So it's about the will of God. When we embrace our true identity, we realize that there's only one will, and that's the will of God. And it becomes our will because we're one with God. Jesus said in the prayer that he shared with his disciples, our Father, who art heavenly, holy is your name, your nature, your kingdom, your reality has come, its presence and its love. Your will is being done. See, your will be done where? On the earth, as it is where? As it is in heaven. In other words, heaven and earth have become one. So when you wake up to your true identity, you have reconciled the world to yourself. You have come to a place of seeing through the mind of Christ, through the eyes of God. And you only see the one. When your eye becomes single, like Jesus said, he said your body becomes filled with light. And so now your body becomes a serviceable instrument of light. And the body will function. The body will be healthy. It comes at the end of a renewed mind that's been transformed. If we get our mind correct, our thinking correct, our perception correct, everything else will self-correct. Even the earth will correct. Paul in Romans says, the earth travaileth and groan for the manifestation of the sons of God, for sons of God to be transformed by the renewing of their mind. Why? Because when we transform our minds, everything in the world, in the physical world, will be transformed. Everything that happens in this world, it happens because of the state of mind of humanity, the collective state. That's why one can be experiencing something that the other doesn't. Why? Because of state of minds. What state of mind are you in? That's why David said in Psalms that 1,000 may fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand, but it shall not come nigh me. Why? Because he was in the right mind. He was transforming his mind and renewing his mind to know that the Lord was his shepherd. He shall not want. The Lord leadeth him into what? Green pastures. The Lord restores his soul. The Lord leadeth him down the path of righteousness. Though he walk through this world of shadows and dreams, he shall feel no evil. For what? The Lord is with him. His rod and his staff, it comforts him. Surely goodness and mercy, see that goodness, see the good of God and the mercy of God shall follow me all the days of my life. It was his mindset. And though David made many mistakes and many wrong choices, because his mind was stayed on God, he stayed in the presence of God. Where there's what? He said, in your presence, there's fullness of joy and what pleasures forevermore. And because of that mindset, look at his life. Look at the experience. Look at the length, even by the mistakes he made. The mistake didn't mean anything. David knew who he was. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? And in case you don't, I'm going to share with you what the Course says about that. You want to hear? Okay, let's see what the Course says. The Course says, we're still in the workbook lesson, workbook for student section of the book. We're just going to turn forward. We're going to go and see what the end, we'll go see what the end going to be. Then we're going to come back, okay? So this is on page 479 in the workbook for students section of A Course in Miracles in the blue book. This is what it says about who we are. This is what the Course says. And this is just a limited expression. We're more than this, but this helps us. It helps us to go and embrace another level of glory about who we are. Remember, it's about glory to glory. We never get to a point of ending. Every advancement is a new beginning, and a new beginning, and another new beginning. That's what we were born into, this endless love. But there's always new beginnings. Why hold on to the past when there's always new beginnings? Why have anxiety of the future when there's always new beginnings in love? And so the title of this idea on page 479 in the workbook for students section of A Course in Miracles, it says, what am I? You remember God asked Adam and Eve, who are you? Where are you? He's saying, what are you? Who are you? You know, Jesus asked the disciples, who do they say that I am? It was a rhetorical question. Jesus already knew he was. He didn't ask that because he was confused. He asked that just to see where their thinking were. And out of the 12, Peter got a revelation in that moment from God. He said, you are the Christ. You are the creation of God. You're the Son of God. And he wasn't only speaking from himself, but he was speaking for all humanity. Because there's one Son. That's only one of us. And whatever Jesus was, we are. He said, as I am, so are you in this world right now. Not going to be, but right now. There is no future. There's only the now. What are you saying right now about yourself? Who are you identifying yourself to be? think I don't think the internet could handle that revelation right there. It can handle it. We just turn on the boosters. Let me make sure everything is set correctly. All right. Vocals should be good. My video is good. Are y'all good? I'm good. I'm going to finish this up. And I was finishing up by getting ready to tell you what the Course says about your identity. Okay. And this is just, hi, Heidi. I see you out there. Yeah. I got Heidi to give me some praying hands. Thank you, Heidi. She's my girl from out west. I love her so much. What do you think, Heidi? Give me something in the comment field. Woo! All right, there you go. I get inspired when I know Heidi's watching me. Wow. So this is what the Course says. And I know, Heidi, you're a Course in Miracles student, so you may have the blue book if you want to turn there on 479. I would go there. I would go to page 479 if I were you, Heidi, and I would highlight. I would take every different color highlighter and highlight this on page 479 if you got the blue book. But as soon as we read this, there's something else to add to it. You can never describe. Who we are is undescribable. We can just take shots at it. Let's take a shot. Like to say, let's just take a shot. Let's take a shot right here. It says, what am I? And it says, I am God's son, or I am God's creation. And this is for all of us. Now, what I'm reading here excludes no one. If it excludes anyone, then it wouldn't be complete. It wouldn't be real. But it's real because it includes everyone. Because remember, there's only the one. But it says, I am God's son, or I am God's creation. This is who you are. This is what you are. I've already just shared with you why you are, that you may prove that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. That's what your life is about here. Your life has deep meaning, and your life has good purpose. And you need to know that. It doesn't come from without. It comes from within. It came from within your creation. I am God's creation. So you qualified. All of us are. I am God's creation. Complete and healed and whole. You are complete. You are healed and you are whole. Now, shining in the reflection of God's love, or shining in the reflection of love, because God is love. And this love is always shining. Your love is always shining, just like in the natural. The sun is always shining. You may not always see it with the physical eye, but it's always shining. Who you are, your true identity, the real you, who is love, is always shining. It's always shining. We just get out of touch with it. We forget who we are, but it's always shining. This completion, this healing, and this wholeness is always shining. It's always present. And what we're doing in these workbook lessons, what we're doing in this process of transformation through the renewal of our minds, is we are removing the blocks to the awareness that love is always present. What are the blocks? The one block, the main block, is the belief in a false self. And that's why we're spending so much time on the subject of identification. In fact, this whole part 2 of the workbook lessons, over 200 lessons, are dedicated to what the course calls true perception. We live so long in a false perception or a false image of who we are, a self-image that was not correct. And now we are in the process of transformation through renewing the reality of our true identity. In me and in you, in all humanity, is love's creation, God's creation. In all of us is God's creation, sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. What God created is sanctified, glorified, and guaranteed eternal life. You are the sanctification of God. You are the eternity of God. You are. Because that's what God is. And God can only create like unto himself or herself or itself. So what God created is just like the very essence of his very own self. So you are eternal. You are sanctified. That word sanctified means that you are the original. You are the original. You're not a copy. Jesus says, sanctify them with the sanctification that you sanctified me. He said that when he was on earth. He said, glorify them with the same glory that you glorified me. He said that while he was on earth. He didn't say it so that God could do it. He said it because it was already true. Remember, he was talking to people that was in unbelief. And so he met them where they were. And now we have the privilege to look back on that. We have the awesome privilege of knowing the mystery that now has been revealed to us, that was hid in time past. That we are the Christ, Christ in us, Christ as us. We know now. We have no excuse. So we are the creation of God. We are complete and healed and whole and shining in his love. We are sanctified and eternal. Eternity is who we are. You will never not be aware. You will never not be conscious. You will always be alive because you are life itself. It says, in me is love perfected. In you, the I am you, love is being perfected. What does that mean? That means that what? All sense of fear, guilt, and sin consciousness is being what? Is being dissolved in you. It's being dissolved in you. And John said in 1 John that, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love in a sound mind. He said fear has torment. He said we remain fearful because we're not allowing ourselves to be made perfect by love. We're resisting the perfection of love in us. So we have to stop resisting. We have to relax. We have to relax and let the transformation, let the renewing of the mind take place without what? Without resistance. I know one thing that creates what? Pain in a mother is when she resists that baby that's coming no matter what. That baby's coming. And when I was in Lamar's class, they taught us that it's in the relaxation. that allows things to happen and to occur so easily that the baby says whoop. But as long as the mother what re- resist the natural process of just letting things come, it becomes very painful. And so that's why we experience pain and suffering, because we are resisting what is inevitable. What is inevitable is your awakening. God guarantees it. And so when we resist it by holding on to the falsehood, holding on to the sin consciousness, guilt, and fear, it becomes very painful. God said, relax, I got you. And so when we relax, it says, love is perfected. Fear is impossible. When we embrace and relax into our true identity as the I am, the one self that we share with God in all living things, it says fear is impossible. In other words, love is making us perfect, because in perfection, there is no fear. In perfection, there is no separation. There is no inferiority. There is no inequality. All these things that we see running rapid in the world that is creating so much chaos, in perfect love, it doesn't exist. In a renewed mind, it doesn't exist. So love is perfect. Fear is impossible, and joy established without opposite. There is no opposite to joy in our reality. This is our state of being. This becomes our experience when we embrace and accept who we are, the creations of God. It says, I am. I am the holy home of God itself. It's not talking about your body. It's talking about your eternal nature. It's talking about the essence of who you are. He says, you are the holy home of God. Why? Because wherever God is, you are. Wherever you are, God is. You're inseparable. You're impregnable. God has always been with you. God has always been you. I know that's a lot to swallow, but you can do it. I know you can. I've done it, and it feels good. You are the holy home of God. This is what it says you are. Is this the self-image that you hold for yourself? It should be, and it's going to be as you relax in your identity. Just relax. Let all the anxiety go. Let all the fear go. Let all the dread go. Let all the memory of the past go. It doesn't mean anything. It has no meaning. You are blameless. You are irreprovable before God and before love. There's no one can bring a charge against you and it stick. No one. You have been judged one time, and you was judged as righteous. There is no more judgment. This idea of a future judgment, take that out of your mind. That's religious talk. There's no judgment to come. There's nothing but right now. And right now, how are you judging yourself? Are you judging yourself in righteousness to say, as he is, so am I in this world right now? That's the way you should judge yourself. There's no more judgment to come. God judged you in creation. And he said, you were very good. He didn't say he was good. He said, you're very good. You and me. God is the most confident person that you will ever meet. God God is the most certain person that you would ever meet. And when you meet yourself, you will be that way too. Your real you is that way. The real you is that way. And that is what is seeking to emerge in your experience. And we're here to help you make it happen. So we are the holy home of God. That's why Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father. I and the Father are one. I'm the holy home. I am the heaven where love resides. Paul said that we have been blessed with every spiritual blessing in heavenly places. Where do you think the heavenly place is? That's you. Heaven is not somewhere off. Heaven is not a physical place. Your identity is not a physical. Your true identity is formless and timeless. You'll get used to it. It's the most natural, relaxed state of being one would want to be in. Where there's no limits. There's no limitation. You are living, you understand that you're living in this boundless, limitless. There's not even words to describe it. You can't describe it as a space, because space you can measure. You are in a spaceless space. Who you are is spaceless. There are no limitations. This little visit to this place they call Earth, that's like taking one breath. How many breaths you take in a day? How many breaths can you take in a lifetime? This is just a temporary experience, and we get all excited about it. You have not seen excitement. You have not known the riches of his grace, but you will, all of us. You wait and see. And when I say wait and see, it's not something to happen. It's something to become aware of that's already present. The waiting is removing the block, the false self. So we are the heaven where love abides. I am God's holy sinlessness. See, the Course calls sinless, meaning no sin. He calls it holy. That is the holiness that we share with God. We are God's sinlessness. Sin is a man-made idea that we all got trapped into. The Course calls it children's play. The Course calls it sharp-edged children toys when we misappropriate identification to be something that is not. It said it's a sharp toy and it cuts and it brings pain and sorrow and suffering. The identification. But when it's restored, when it's renewed, when it's transformed, it brings about what was always present. And so we are the holy, sinless ones. Sinlessness. We are that. No one excluded. If you want to say, well, what about this and what about that? What about the history and all of that? We forgave all that, remember? What we thought our brother did to themselves and to others, it has not occurred. Why? It was all happened in a dream. Do you want to hold what happens in a dream that you dreamed last night? Do you want to hold that as the truth? No, you're just ludicrous. So understand, it's ludicrous for us to hold on to any grievance and to hold on to any judgment that one has experienced in this dimension. Why? Because it's in a dream. It's temporary. It's a temporary play with children's toys. I am his holy sinlessness itself. For in my purity, Jesus said, only the pure in heart shall see God as themselves. So as we wake up to the purity that we are, we shall see God as ourselves. For in our purity, in our renewed mind, in the mind of Christ, in the mind of God, where we make a shift in our perception, where we become the miracle-minded ones. He says, for in my purity abides God's purity. Why? Because there's only one pure, and we're part of the one. Only the pure in heart shall see. So that means that we all shall eventually see. Every man, every woman in their own time. Like the Course says, it's a requirement. We all must come to the awakening. He said, but we do get to choose when we decide. We don't get to choose the curriculum, but we get to choose when we decide to wake up, because the curriculum is the same. It is through forgiveness. It is through forgiveness. The curriculum of forgiveness. We have to forgive this world for what we thought it was. We have to forgive ourselves for who we thought we were. We have to forgive our brother for who we thought they were. And we have to forgive God for who we thought God was. And in our forgiveness, which is the release of all of that we thought, what remained is what was always present. Your purity, your wholeness, your completeness, your holiness, your righteousness, your sanctification, your glorification. So that's what it says here about who we are. What do you think? Now, who do you say that you are? And back to the exercise. Back to the lesson for today. I forgot we were doing a lesson. Today's lesson is 252. And now I'm just going to read through this quickly because I've already given it to you. Here's the lesson. The Son of God is my identity. Or the creation of God is my identity. Or I am is my identity. However you want to say it. It's all the same. Your identity is God. God is your only reality. Love is your only reality. And so that's our ideal for today. That's my identity. They said, who are you? I'm the creation of God. Jesus said it this way. You're the light of the world. And so I'll read through this right quick. Myself is holy, beyond all the thoughts of holiness of which I now conceive. The I am. Here it says myself. Myself is shimmering in perfect purity, is far more. Myself as shimmering in perfect purity is far more brilliant than any light that I have ever looked upon. You think you've seen brightness through the natural eye? You haven't seen brightness. Till you begin to see through the eye of reality. He said it is shimmering in perfect purity. Its love is limitless. Myself, the love that I am is limitless. It has no limits. With an intensity that holds all things within it. In the calm of quiet certainty. This is you. This is myself. This is the I am that we all share. Calm, quiet certainty. Its strength. What strength? Myself, the I am. Comes not from burning impulses, which moves the world. But my strength comes from the boundless love of God itself. God is my source. God is my strength. God is my love. How far beyond this? Myself must be. And here it's saying we are that and beyond. We are beyond what we could ask or think. We are beyond what we can imagine. How far beyond? This world, my true self, the real you, the I am, must be. And yet how near to me and close to my Creator, my Father and my God. But there is no separation. So, to close out today's session, I make this declaration for all of us. Father. So when you say Father like that, or knowing who you are and the source of who you are, Father means so much more than just a title. It is our sustainability. It's our very life. You know my true identity. Like, if you're a parent, you know your children's true identity. They might go off and say, no, this is my mommy and daddy. This is my this or that. But you know, you know, you gave birth to them. And they can't change that. They can change their mind, but they can't change it. They can't change reality. They can't enter back into your womb. You remember Jesus told Nicodemus that? No. You know my true identity. Reveal it now to me, who am your creation, that I may waken to the truth in you and know that heaven is restored to me. That is our thought for today. The creation of God is our identity. That solves all problems. It heals all pain and suffering. It really does. Identification is everything. I'm going to say it again. Identification, it is everything. And to you, Heidi, you have a beautiful day. And to all the viewers here, have a beautiful day. We'll see you on tomorrow. Bye-bye.